Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Bloodborne Monster Manual, where we discuss different creatures from the beautiful world of Bloodborne. Today we're going to talk about the ASHEN blood monsters that inhabit the city of Old Yharnam. Blood-starved beasts and the beast patience. We'll cover their design, history, their abilities and weaknesses, and the connection with other beasts and the plague that struck the ancient civilization of Lauren. Without further ado, let's get started. Well, first off, let's talk about the disease that destroyed the lands of Lauren and forced the healing church to burn Old Yharnam and its inhabitants. ASHEN blood. ASHEN blood is a strange sickness that ravaged Old Yharnam long ago. The symptoms were like poisoning, so an antidote was used to treat it, though it only provided short-term relief. The excretion of the afflicted was poisonous and infectious, and the ASHEN blood ailment eventually triggered the spread of the beastly scourge. To prevent the sickness and the plague of the beast to reach central Yharnam, Old Yharnam was burned to the ground and the entrance was sealed. The same sickness most likely swept through Lauren, as we can find the same beast patients and blood-starved beasts in its sand-covered catacombs. It is speculated that it was the healing church who intentionally brought ASHEN blood into Old Yharnam from the expeditions to the dungeons, as White Church Garb's description states. They believe that medicine is not a means of treatment, but rather a method for research, and that some knowledge can only be obtained by exposing oneself to sickness. It is a common misconception that ASHEN blood is the reason why inhabitants of Old Yharnam turned into beasts. In reality, these are two different diseases. But the fact is that, due to its infectivity, ASHEN blood contributed to the spread of the plague of the beast. Both of the types of creatures we're going to talk about in this video are infected by both of these sicknesses. The beast patients were once humans who were infected by ASHEN blood. As their transformation finished, they turned into monsters with elongated limbs, neck, and body which is covered in bandages and wrapped cloth. There are two types of these creatures. Male and female. Male patients are covered in fur and are much easier to kill than the other ones. They also fear the sight of fire and back down when the hunter gets a torch out, as it reminds them of the night their city was burnt by the church. Females, on the other hand, are not afraid of the torches, as their head is covered by a green cloak. Their appearance is slightly different. Unlike males, they don't have any fur on their bodies. Their attacks inflict poison on the hunter. Female patients are also capable of grabbing the hunter and vomiting their toxic blood on him, instantly poisoning the player. Patients, like all other beasts, are weak to fire and ceration. You might have noticed that these monsters' appearance differs a lot from the other beasts. They don't have an elongated wolf-like jaw, half of their teeth fell out, they stand on 2 feet, and don't even have a nose. I believe that all of this is the fault of the ASHEN blood. This sickness, judging by the appearances of blood-starved beasts and the beast patients, is accompanied by necrosis and the symptoms of syphilis. The beastly scourge is keeping these creatures alive, granting life even to the half-rotten blood-starved beasts, but ASHEN blood is still not cured, and that's what makes these creatures stand out so much. I would even say that they are the same kind as silver beasts, dark beasts, and abhorrent beasts, just differently evolved. Now done with the speculation. It is time to cover the star of the show. The blood-starved beast itself. The blood-starved beast is a malformed monster that has had all of the skin peeled off its back, making for a truly gruesome sight. These creatures are known for their unquenchable thirst for blood. Instead of devouring the flesh of its prey, the blood-starved beast sucks their blood completely. Their long and sharp fangs help them with that, as if they were some kind of vampires. Their body is sick and rotten because of the ASHEN blood infection. As you may notice, their legs are cut in certain places, their back fabrics are completely destroyed, and their torso lacks skin. An interesting thing is that they have these wounds, not in random places, but as if they were a victim of a bloodletting ritual, as the cut parts on their limbs very much resemble this scheme, which shows the points of the body that are cut during the bloodletting process. Its design suggests that it may have been the source of ritual blood in Old Yharnam, and that this monster was most likely a blood saint, presumably a woman, as its appearance is quite similar to the female beast patients, and it is indeed drained of its blood. Actually, we find 2 blood-starved beasts in Old Yharnam. The one we encounter in the Church of the Good Chalice is the lesser one, and the second beast is hung in the main church of Old Yharnam. This beast is gargantuan. Its size is equal to that of Vicar Amelia, or even larger. I wish we could fight this creature. Beast patients gather around this giant corpse, drink its blood, and even pray to it with their groans. The size of this beast indicates that it was one of the high priests of Old Yharnam, as the biggest and most powerful beasts are born of those people who have imbibed the most blood. The skeletal body structure of blood-starved beasts provides them their flexibility, agility, and speed. These creatures are very aggressive and toxic, kind of like the people on the internet. The more health the beast loses, the more powerful and poisonous it becomes. In the last phase of the fight, it's bleeding its venomous blood so hard that the hunter gets poisoned by even standing near it. However, the beast has a lot of weaknesses too. All of its attacks can be parried, so the fight shouldn't be hard for experienced hunters. This beast is also very easy to distract, throwing pungent blood cocktails. And finally, it's weak to fire damage. There are a few tips new hunters should know when fighting this creature. First, don't be afraid. A lot of people back down when the beast becomes very aggressive and fast, and that makes them vulnerable. Second, don't try to run away from it. The beast's attacks cover large spaces, and it can easily shorten the distance within a second, so your best choice is to stand near its rear and dodge at proper timings. And finally, the third. The moment the beast enters the third phase, it turns its back to the nearest wall and prepares a massive explosion of a poisonous substance. The best choice here is to come to its back and try to make a visceral attack. This way it won't unleash this burst. And finally, let's discuss the topic of Lauren and its connection with Old Yharnam. But before that, I alert you. There will be a lot of speculation, so these theories can't be considered 100% true. It is known that Old Yharnam dwellers worshipped the Ptumerian chalice and the ritual blood. Judging by the appearance of the blood-starved beast, they also were taking part in the rituals of bloodletting. There is even a statue that resembles the look of Lauren cleric, who inhabits the lowest parts of the Lauren dungeons. All of this made me think that the church didn't poison the city directly. I believe that they gave the clerics and the hunters of Old Yharnam the chalices and taught them everything about the blood ministration, just to see if the use of Lauren's blood could give any different effect than the normal old blood. Well, unfortunately for the church, it could. Well, I think that would be it. Don't forget to click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and suggest your idea for the next episode of the Bloodborne Monster Manual in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you next time. By the way, bruh, this guy made me laugh way more than he should have.